Welcome to our Dynamo launch training. Thank you for joining me for this training. It's our third training and the final one. And I'm excited to again go through some concepts with you and show you some special bonuses we have towards the end. So, thank you again. And if again you're joining me for the first time, we've done this training 3 times. I mean, this is the third day. If you're joining us for the first time, my name is Isaac. I live in Kansas City, and I'm the CEO of a training company called Dynamo Methods. It's a company that I founded in 2014, ran it part time for 2 years, and then I went full time in 2016. And it's been a great journey. Beyond running the company and the amazing people that I get to work with, we've experienced incredible stuff with the customers and the clients that we serve and the community that we get to interact with. And I believe you're one of those. So thank you again for being a part of our journey. And this training that we are doing, it's a launch for our academy that we are launching. It's called Dynamo Leaders Academy. And we decided to do a free training just to give you a gift and give you an idea of what's in the academy. And towards the end of this training, I'm going to share with you some information if the time is right and if you are able to join us and be a part of our academy. This is just one of the programs that we get to run at Dynamo Methods. So thank you again for being a part of this training. It's going to be fun. I'm going to share my screen so we can get to the training. So today we are going to talk about leading with vision to achieve high performance. Just as a refresher, the first day that was on Tuesday, we talked about leadership foundations, and we talked about the mindset that you need to have for you to succeed at a high level, to become a high performance leader, and also build high performance teams. Yesterday, we talked about high performance skills, 3 kinds of skills. We talked about 3 skills, and I'm going to show you the recap here in a second. And then today, of course, we are talking about how to lead with a vision and make that vision a reality. So, a recap for yesterday, we talked about high performance leadership skills. Emotional intelligence is one of the skills you need to develop. Some people are born with an inclination towards having strong emotional intelligence, but it's a skill that anyone can develop, and it's important for you as a leader. Then strategic thinking, and then also effective decision making. So the focus for today is strategic leadership for high performance. Now, the way we've set up the training is it's mirroring our structure for the programs that we do at Dynamo Methods. We have programs for aspiring and new leaders. We have kind of a step up, which is a intermediate level of training, which is training for emerging leaders, and then we have the executive level training. So the first day of the training, which was on Tuesday, was all about leadership foundations, and then yesterday we talked about the high performance skills, kind of a step up, and that's relevant to both new and also emerging leaders. And today we're going to talk about strategic vision. So if today's training is a little bit higher than what you're used to, it's okay, because at some point you'll get there. I believe the concepts are still very relevant. If you're an executive or a business owner, I think this is going to be within your wheelhouse. And then we are going to talk about how to create and implement a vision. So let's talk about strategic leadership for high performance. First, you need to start with a vision, and a vision is a long-term goal that drives your team. Your team needs to be aware of where you're going as a leader, where you're going as a company, because like we established yesterday and also the day before, if you don't know where you're going, or at least it's not very clear, most likely you're not going to get there. And if you do, it's going to take a long time. And by the time you get there, you're going to be exhausted. Your people will be exhausted. We use a lot of mental and emotional muscles and strength when we are not sure where we are going. So think about the last time you drove to a neighborhood or even to a place that you've never been before. And let's say somehow, if you're using a GPS, somehow before you get there, the GPS loses signal. It happens sometimes when you go through like a dead zone and you don't have signal. Most of the times, if you don't know where you're going, and especially if you are in a city that's a little bit crowded, you are likely to tense up a little bit, because you don't know whether you're going to miss your exit. And if you miss your exit, how long it's going to take before you circle back. It happened to me, I believe it was 2017. I was in Houston doing a leadership workshop, and the workshop was an all-day workshop from 9 to 4, and my flight was for 6 p.m. So got done with the workshop, drove my rental car, got to the airport. Of course, the whole process of returning my rental car. Then I got to to check in. And actually, what happened before, when I was driving my rental car to return it, there was so much traffic. And if you're familiar with Houston, there's a lot of toll stations. And at that time, maybe things have changed. But at that time, when you took an exit, by the time you get back, you needed to pay the toll again. So it happened that I didn't have enough coins. That's the time you had to use coins to pay for your toll. So I took the wrong exit and I wanted to get back, but I couldn't because I didn't have money. So I had to go to the gas station, get some coins, get back on the highway. And by the time I got to the airport, I had missed my flight. So I ended up spending the night in Houston. That was a Friday night. Got home on Saturday, and I needed to travel again back out to fly back out from Kansas City on Sunday to do another round of 5-day training. So it was hectic for me. I didn't even feel like I got a chance to rest. So those are some of the things that can happen. The whole time I was stressed out. Of course, I tried to plead with the airline to see if they could get me a flight the same night, but they couldn't because there was no flight going to Kansas City. So imagine in your situation, if you are not sure where you are going, if you lose signal, or at least you're just winging it, you're going to be stressed out. So that's why you need to have a strong vision for your team and for your company. And strategy is all about the plan that you need to have in place to achieve that vision, because you can have the best vision in the world in your head, but if you don't have a plan that you can follow, then most likely it's going to take too long, or you may not be able to get there. So there are three key components of strategic leadership. Number one is visionary thinking. So yesterday we said strategic thinking is one of the skills you need to develop as a leader. It's one of the skills you need to master as a leader. So being able to think, to experience that visionary thinking, anticipating future trends and needs, trends for your business, trends in your industry, trends in the marketplace, and also anticipating the needs for your business, the needs for your team, the needs for your team members. If you can anticipate that, if you can predict it, most likely you can prepare for it. Number two is strategic planning, developing a clear and actionable roadmap for you to follow. Yesterday, I shared with you two things that I came across and I narrowed down to in 2021. It was during COVID, and I sat down to prepare for a training that I was supposed to do in front of entrepreneurs. And the training was all about accelerated success. And what I narrowed down to was two major factors that are going to determine how successful you are going to be, how high you're going to go in your success, whichever way you define your success. And one of them is the ability to plan well, to come up with a solid plan, a roadmap that you can follow. And the second factor is the speed of execution, your ability to take action almost immediately. As soon as you come up with a plan, taking action for several reasons. Number one, when you take action, you get to test concepts and principles and the ideas you have to weed out the ones that don't work and keep the ones that work. So strategic planning is going to be key for you. And then number three is inspiring others, aligning your team around a shared vision. I also shared with you yesterday about a concept that was taught by two university professors who are also authors, Barry Posner and James Kouzes. And they wrote a book called The Leadership Challenge. And they talk about 6 practices. One of the practices is called inspiring a shared vision. And what they say is that you need to be keen enough and slow down, talk to your team members to understand the vision for their lives, the vision for their career, the vision for their whatever they want to do. And then you align your team's vision and their vision, and that's how you get to have a shared vision. If you can do that successfully, most likely you'll be able to get your team to do what they're supposed to do willingly. So when you think about inspiring people from a basic perspective, inspiration is all about being able to see the future from the present, being able to have a picture and an image of how your life is going to be like as a leader, how your team is going to be like, how your day is going to look like when you get there, when you learn the skills, when you master the strategies, when you become a high performance leader, when you build a high performance team, and with that combination of those two, then how is your life going to be like? Are you going to be able to take a day off when you want to? Are you going to be able to even take your lunch and not have to eat your lunch from your desk? Are you going to be able to step away if you're a business owner and let your team run the show without you being there? So inspiration is about showing people how the future will look like when you get there. Now, I'm assuming that you have a team. That's why you are going through this training. And many times, more than enough times, you need to share with your team where you are going, the goals and dreams for the team, the vision you have for the team, how the results are going to look like, in this case, the team results, how the rewards are going to look like when you get there for the team and for the individuals. And to an extent, you need to build a case why you are asking them to be diligent, why you are asking them to improve on their performance, why you are asking them to learn new skills, why you are asking them to even work harder than ever before. You need to paint that picture. And most likely, if you're not the business owner or the CEO, the vision you have and the picture you have is going to be a subset of the big picture that the company has. So you got to inspire people, show them what's possible, then keep the excitement going. I spent a lot of time, more than 10 years in engineering, probably about 15 years, including my schooling in engineering school. And there are some things I was told and taught that I came to realize were not true. I was told that if you want to be resourceful and be able to solve world's problems, then you shouldn't have too much fun. You don't have time for social interactions. You don't have time to smile or be happy too much. You need to be thinking about the problems that you're solving. And there's a place for that. Now, by all means, if you enjoy doing that, that's your thing. I don't. So for many years, I thought me being excited, being happy, it doesn't have a place in leadership, doesn't have a place in managing resources and leading people. But that was not true. So what I came to learn is that people gravitate towards the environments that look like they are conducive, the environments that seem like people are having fun. And that's why even today in 2024, and it's been happening for the last probably 5 years, there's an emphasis on employee engagement. There's an emphasis on creating and building an environment where people feel like they belong. They feel like they are accepted. They feel like they can thrive. So that's a major focus for a lot of companies. And I believe you should focus on that as well. So you making the environment fun, making the environment conducive, being able to see what people are not showing you so that you can give it to them even before they ask, being able to hear what people are not telling you, especially when they are worried about something, their jobs, the economy, the workplace. If your company has gone through a tough time, especially now in 2024, some of the companies are experiencing a pinch in their revenue and a dip in their profits. Your employees know about that because potentially they're not getting the bonuses they used to get 3 years ago. So there might be some questions in their minds. Is the company going to be here tomorrow? Am I going to lose my job? Am I going to be the first one to be laid off? So all those questions are likely to run through their minds. And you as the leader, you are the one to ease that fear, to calm those nerves, to tell them that we are working towards improving and getting there. So that's what I mean by inspiring people, painting a picture of how the future is going to look like. So let's talk about the importance of visionary thinking. And by the way, as we go through this, if you have your workbook, which you should have received this either through LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, but also if you're on our email list, you should have received an email with a workbook. So if you're following along, that's great. And we'll be doing some exercises inside the workbook. So let's talk about the importance of visionary thinking. Number one is direction. When you think in a visionary way, or when you lean towards emphasizing on your vision, especially with your team, then you provide a sense of purpose and direction. And we said again, if you don't know where you're going, or if it's not clear, it's going to be stressful, it's going to take longer than necessary, and most likely nobody's really going to hang around for that long, because people cannot even physically perform well for an extended period of time if they are stressed out. So it's okay if you go through a rough patch, but you need to be able to slow down and help to calm that, so that people can sustain themselves and also be able to sustain their performance. So direction is going to provide a sense of purpose and direction, and then motivation energizes and motivates your team to achieve goals. When you think about the future, And when you talk about the future, when you express how the future potentially is going to look like, people are likely to be motivated. A few months ago, I think it's almost a year ago, I dropped off my son at my daughter, actually. I dropped off my daughter at school and my son at daycare, and I was going back to the office. And on my way to the office, I just got thinking. And I believe also I was preparing for a presentation talking about, actually, I was preparing for a presentation called Pushing Through the Tough Times that I get to speak about. And I decided to lean more towards giving a perspective about the past, the present, and the future. And what came to my mind was, it's more like a realization and a discovery at the same time, that some people tend to dwell in the past. They like to talk about the good old days. If the old days were good, they want to dwell on that. But also, if they have gone through tough times, some people like to dwell on the past to express their pain and what they went through. For one main reason, for both extremes, whether it was the good old days or you've gone through traumatic experiences, both extremes give you attention. They are likely to give you attention. If you're sharing about your successes in the past, you're going to get a few people who are going to slow down and ask you, hey, tell me about your past. Tell me about your past success. If you've gone through traumatic experiences, some people are also going to ask you, tell me about your experience, and most likely feel sorry for you, or at least get to empathize with you. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Sharing about your past, whether it was your past success or your past failures or the experiences that you've had. But there's also a risk, because we are likely to dwell so much on the past because it's feeding us, it's giving us something, it's making us feel something. And especially when you don't have much going on in the present, if somehow, whether it's real or perceived, you don't feel like you are succeeding in the present, if you don't feel like your wheels are moving, your business is not doing well, your team is not performing, maybe you're under pressure because you have some targets that you're not meeting, you are likely to drift to the past, to fall back and try to live in the past and talk about that and say, remember, 5 years ago, the way we used to do this, remember what I did, I know I can do it, cut me some slack, give me some grace. And there's a place for that. If you've gone through tough times, you are likely to lean on that. But you just need to be careful about that. So my recommendation is reflect on the past. And the key word is to reflect and not dwell on it. Draw the lessons that you've learned from the past. Draw perspectives that you got from the past, and ask yourself, how can I use those lessons and perspective today? So a lot of people tend to dwell in their past, and then they tend to skip the present. They skip the present, they go to the future, because the future hasn't happened yet. The future is almost, it's more like a clean slate. It's almost pure. You've not been there. You can only dream about it. So for the dreamers, people like to live in the future. They tend to talk about what they're going to do, what they're going to experience, how great it's going to be. And they live in the bubble, they live in utopia, and there's a place for that. But you need to step down and ask yourself, what can I do to achieve that dream, to live, to move towards that future? So a lot of people, again, they live in the past, they skip the present, they go to the future, because the future is almost pure, is a utopia. It's not poisoned, and you can easily live there. And also, in the future, there's no accountability because you haven't done anything yet. You can only talk about it. Very few people are going to question your dreams about the future. We gravitate towards dreams. We want people to do well, and there's a place for that. So when you talk about the things that you're going to do, and how big it's going to be, and how great it's going to be, how your team is going to perform, then we can only say we trust you, or we believe in you. Now, if you have a leader or someone who is a close friend, most likely they are going to ask you, so what are you going to do to accomplish that? How are you going to get there? So again, just be careful, be conscious about drifting back to the past, skipping the present, going to the future, and living there. But let's talk about the present. I believe the present. I believe the present is the most important time you can ever live in, because it's only in the present that you can take action. It's only in the present that you can move towards changing what has happened in the past, especially if it didn't go well. It's only in the present that you can do again what you did in the past, especially if it produced good results. It's only in the present that you can learn lessons. But the problem is, in the past, you get to experience failure. It's in the past that you experience failure because you took action. It's in the past that you are likely to be discouraged because you share what you are working on and what you're thinking about, and someone says, I don't believe you can do that, or I don't think you can do it, or remember you have past failure, or remember you promised last year, and you get reminded about all these things. And that's why, again, people skip the present and they go to the future. So, but the present it's an opportunity, it's a gift that you have. So make sure you have a plan that we talked about, strategic plan that you can implement today. So again, when you have a vision, you are likely to motivate people. You talk about, especially if you are talking to your team, you need to reflect about the past. Remember what we did last week. Let's keep on doing that. Don't worry about the failures. We've learned our lessons. We have the present. We have a plan. We are working on it, and we are moving towards the future. And that's where the motivation comes in. So let's talk about 3 steps on how to implement a strategic vision. Step number one is to assess your environment. Understand internal and external factors. We talked about this yesterday, and we said internal factors, they are all about someone's attitude. It's all about their belief in themselves, whether their self-confidence they have, the belief about themselves, the belief about the industry, the belief about their teammates and their coworkers, the belief about you as a leader, the belief and perspectives and perceptions about leadership and company and the industry. And we all have different beliefs. We usually talk about limiting beliefs, and a limiting belief is anything that holds you back from taking action. The thing that you potentially don't even know it exists. You come up with a plan and say, tomorrow I'm going to show up on time. Tomorrow I'm going to provide this to my team. I'm going to have weekly meetings. I'm going to train and my people. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to move towards becoming a great communicator. Whatever plan you have, then you find yourself not doing it, pushing it and procrastinating. Then you go like, I don't know what's wrong with me because I come up with these plans and I never get to take action. You might be experiencing some level of limiting beliefs. So you need to understand your internal factors. You need to understand your external factors. And those are things to an extent that are beyond your control. You can't control them, but you can influence them. I've told this story, which is a real story. I have a friend of mine called Kyle. And in 2017, Kyle and I, we met for coffee at a Panera Bread. It's a coffee pastry shop that in Kansas City, we have a lot of them. And I think across the US as well. And we met at Panera Bread. And Kyle and I, we got talking. He's a sales guy in the mortgage industry. And he shared something that kind of changed my life in a way, in my perspective of looking at things, because my upbringing and my conditioning and my schooling demanded that I get things accurately and to an extent be in control of situations. And if I'm not in control, I would get nervous. Now, I don't get nervous anymore because I learned I don't have to be in control of everything. But Kyle shared with me and he said, in life, we have factors that we can control and factors that we can influence. And he said, we control the factors that we own. We control the things we own, our attitude. We control our decisions. We control who we are going to be in a relationship with. We control anything that is within ourselves. We control our perceptions, and especially when we are aware of the limiting beliefs that we've had from the past. And then he said, the biggest chunk of our lives is going to be controlled by things that are outside of our control. And he said, the things that we don't own, we cannot control. We can only influence. And he said, you can only influence people, not situations, because situations are created by people. In your team right now, if your team is not performing, then you're not going to go talk to the non-performance because that's not a living thing. You're not even going to talk to the systems and the processes. You're going to talk to the people behind the systems. You're going to talk to the people behind the schedules, the people behind the work that's being done. So we when you think about external factors, we can only influence those things. That means you as a leader, you need to get really, really good at dealing with people. Yesterday we talked about high performance skills, and emotional intelligence is one of them. And we said emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, to recognize, understand, and acknowledge your own emotions, but also recognize other people's emotions and influence them to do the things they're supposed to do, and in this case your team members. So understanding the internal factors. What is it that makes you tick? What is it that makes you upset? What are your pet peeves? What are some of the words whenever people use kind of throw you off? What are some of the things you're very particular about? And then after that, ask yourself, have I communicated these factors to my team? Because they can only follow that, or at least give you what they want, what you want, if they know what it is. So understand your internal and external factors. Step number 2 is to define your vision. And I know we keep on going back and forth about this vision thing. It needs to be defined so well. And ask yourself, what do you want to achieve in the long term? You need to define that very well. This past weekend, I attended a conference, and I was one of the speakers, but I got to attend some of the sessions that are being done by other people as well. There's a guy who is highly educated, very smart guy, university professor, a great speaker as well. And him and his wife, they were part of the trainers for this, and the speakers for this conference. And he was talking about relationships, and he said, how do you nurture a good relationship? How do you nurture those relationships? And the discussion went round with the attendees, and what was established was the first step is for you to define how a good relationship looks like for you. You got to define it. So coming back to your vision, you got to define the thing. How does that look like? It needs to be crystal clear, so that if someone walks in right now and asks you, what's your vision? What's the vision for your team? You don't need to reference your notes. You don't need to think about it. It needs to be right there. You need to know what it is. And I was taught this by my former boss many years ago, 2007, 2008. And she's the one who told me, at any given point, you need to know what you're working on. And she broke it down for me. And she said, she was our district manager. So she said, Isaac, we've given you targets and goals for your team. We have monthly goals. Actually, we have quarterly goals. We have monthly goals. We have weekly goals and daily goals. And she said, you need to break those down. And every single day, if I walk in and I ask any of your team members, what are you working on today as a team, they should know. Now that was powerful, and I remember that time we all resisted. Honestly, when she shared that, all the managers, we were like, "That's too much work to have to tell people what we are working on. Don't they know? We have it on the board, we have it on the email, we have it everywhere. They should know." But my boss explained, and I came to believe this: that people, you as a leader, you are the only one who truly cares enough about the numbers, who cares enough about where you're going, and to an extent who has the capacity and the ability to remember that and juggle with so many other things, besides thinking about the numbers. And she said, when you say it long enough and often enough, people get it. So you need to say that over and over again. And then many years later, I came across another guy called Tony, who was also our VP in the company I worked in. And Tony said, it's better to over communicate than to under communicate. You have to keep on saying it over and over and over again. Now, there are two kinds of people whenever it comes to communication. Some people are going to get it. Finally, it's going to click and say, I get it. Others are going to get it because they'll get tired of hearing your voice, and they're going to do it anyway. Now, that second category of people, you need to develop them, work on them. Work with them to get them to grow and understand, because you don't want to have someone in your team who is just tolerating you and everyone else, because that's not going to be sustainable. So again, defining your vision needs to happen, and that's going to answer the question, what do you really want to achieve in the long term, whether it's going to be in a week, in a month, in a quarter, in a year. The world is moving so fast, to an extent that what used to be a 12-year plan, and it used to stay pretty much the same and relevant, it doesn't fly anymore. Okay. Probably that's going to be like a quarterly plan, or even if you have a 12-month plan, you need to review that almost every single month, because it's likely to change. And that's where we are at today in 2024. Step number 3 is to communicate effectively. You need to ensure everyone understands and is aligned with the vision. Yesterday, we talked about setting expectations, and we said that yes, you need to have goals for your team. You need to set expectations, clearly communicate those expectations, and then hold people accountable. And we we have to emphasize the aspect of communication. We established again, communication is a leadership language. Honestly, if you can master communication very, very well, how to use your words, how to use your tone of voice, how to use your body language, how to know the right timing for your communication, how to see what people are not showing you, how to feel what they are not really expressing, then you are likely going to win. So your ability to communicate very well, your vision is going to make sure you get there faster. It's going to reduce your people's stress. And you and I know when people have lower stress, they are likely to perform at a higher level. It's been established to be true. When people have lower stress, they perform very well. It's interesting because yesterday I was watching one of the very successful podcast hosts, Lewis Howes, and she was interviewing an expert. I believe she's a psychologist, on how to, I believe, improve your performance. And the lady said, well, the lady was being interviewed. She said, you need to calm your nerves. And she was talking about breath work. That's what they call it. It has been established. I mean, at home, those who have kids and even at school, whenever a kid is getting all ramped up and a little bit stressed out, we advise them to take deep breaths. Basically, we are trying to calm the nervous system. Now, I believe when we become adults, we forget to breathe, and we, one of my coaches, one of my mentors says that we take those short breaths and they add up over and over. I mean, you're taking short breaths and instead of the long breaths, and that means at some point you're going to be in a very bad spot. All this to say that if you can communicate very well and help your people to calm down and get them to understand where you are going, and to an extent, which I think is important, trust you as a leader, trust your plan, trust your vision. And especially if you have a track record in the past from the past, being able to do what you said you're going to do, following through on your promises, then most likely you're going to be able to perform at a high level. So communicate that vision very clearly, over and over and over again. Of course, not over communication, but make sure you're doing it frequently, as frequently as possible. My recommendation is up to you. If you can do it daily, that's okay. If you're not able to do that, then how about weekly? Most of you as leaders, including me, we do weekly meetings, whether it's with our team, virtually or in person. So take that opportunity and communicate about what you're focusing on for the week, what you're focusing on for the month, for the quarter, and for the year. So let's talk about 5 steps to implement a strategic vision. Okay, we have 5 steps. Sorry, not 3. I told you 3 steps. So we have there's a problem there. This should be step number 4. So don't mind about that. There's a typo. You need to implement strategically. Develop actionable steps to make the vision a reality. So we talked about defining the vision, assessing your environment, defining the vision, communicating effectively. Then step number 4 is to implement strategically, develop actionable steps to make the vision a reality. And we said you can have the best vision and the best plan in the world if it's in your head, even on a piece of paper. But if you don't have a plan to implement, you're not going to be able to succeed. So let's do an exercise. And again, if you have a workbook, you have it right there in the workbook. And the question is, what is your team's ultimate vision? What's your team's ultimate vision and goal? Where do you want to take it? My recommendation is that you write it down. I know you might have it in your head, but the moment you write down, there's something about writing stuff down, especially on a piece of paper with a pen. I don't know what it is, but there's something about that. Now, I'm one person who doesn't like using paper. I like to write stuff on my iPhone or my iPad. But I've learned that if I write stuff on a piece of paper, I'm able to see it. Actually, there's a guy called Brian Tracy. Some of you know him, very successful guy. And he's a great personal development trainer. And he calls it thinking on paper. When you get your ideas from your head to a piece of paper, you are thinking on paper, and you are likely to see it the way it is in your head. And most likely you look at it and go like, either that's really good or that's really dumb. So I need to revise that. Okay. So my recommendation, write your vision on a piece of paper. The second question is, what steps will you take to achieve this vision? And this is very close to implementing strategically. What plan do you have to implement strategically? Number 3, what are your short-term and long-term milestones? It's possible to be overwhelmed when you come up with a grand plan, let's say for 12 months or even a quarter or even for the month. Even sometimes weekly plans can be quite overwhelming. How about you break them down into digestible chunks and half milestones? It could be, let's say your team is experiencing some conflicts. Now, conflicts, and this is a totally different training, but just to give you an overview, conflicts come mostly from people looking at things differently, having different perspectives, having different beliefs, but mostly it's because of perspectives. And people usually complain about things that they believe can be better, can be done in a better way. So if anyone has a problem with you and they say, Isaac, I don't believe you should do it that way, or I don't think that's how it should be done. Now, as a human being, you are likely to be tempted and jump back and say, no, I know what I'm talking about. I just had that conversation with someone yesterday who told me, and again, we were just doing a regular executive coaching, and I asked them, how do you address conflicts and miscommunications? And she said, I just sit them down and I tell them that I just want you to believe me. I know what I'm talking about. I've done this for many years, and I just want you to believe me. And that can work sometimes in the short term, but it's not sustainable. And what we established, me and him, is that you need to influence people first of all. But before you do that, you need to ask them enough questions. You need to ask, to figure out why do they believe it should be done differently? What do they have in their minds? Where are they coming from? Is it some kind of a training they went through? Is it a prior experience? Is it just their imagination? And then you take what they have and you express what you have. Basically, you share with them what you have in mind and see how you can marry the two. You might find that they have very good ideas that you can add on to what you know, or they might have a better way of doing it. So again, milestones, having short milestones for your day, for your week, for the month is going to be helpful. Make sure, again, you can discuss with your people how those look like. And if you're in an environment or an industry, especially for-profit companies, if there are some rewards that are attached to those milestones, then people need to know how those rewards look like. They can be monetary or they can be non-monetary. Monetary, very straightforward, whether it's a bonus when we reach a performance, that means you have KPIs and you're measuring that. If they are non-monetary, it could be if we hit our goals, we are going to work for half a day on Friday, or we are going to have pizza on Friday, or we are going to get, I don't know, whatever that your people, like, or what you are able to provide as a leader and what you are authorized to provide. Number 4 is, how will you communicate this strategy to your team? Again, we said you need to communicate effectively, but how are you going to do it? Is it through a phone call? Which I don't recommend you do that. It's going to take too long to call everyone, but you can do a Teams call, basically a group call. You can do a virtual call and have the cameras on, whether it's on Zoom or Teams or whichever platform you use. If you get to meet your team in person, you can do it in person, which is preferable because they can not just hear you or get to sense your tone of voice, they can see your body language. So how are you going to communicate this strategy to your team? And I'll add one more. How often are you going to communicate this? And we said it's better to over communicate than to under communicate. So that's it about our training. Is a short one, and I'm about to share something with you that, again, I alluded yesterday and the day before. For those who are joining us for the first time, I mentioned that we are launching a business academy. It's called Dynamo Leaders Academy, and we decided to do this free training to give you kind of a glimpse of what we have. By the way, this is real training that we do, and I'm going to give you some details here in a second. But also to give you some value. If the Dynamo Leaders Academy is for you, that's okay. If not, then at least you got value out of it. You have a workbook, you have this training. We are sending out all these replays. They are also staying on the pages on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube. But we have a cleaner version of that we are sending out to the people on our email list. So if you want us to send you the edited version of this training, then you can put your email on the chat and we'll be able to send that to you. So here's a question. I just want you to write down for me on the chat and in the comments, what has been the biggest value that you feel you've gotten from this training? What's one or two things that you've picked from our training that you feel you can implement and you can apply? These are questions I like to ask pretty much in every training that I do. I just asked that question on Monday. We have a program called On the Stage, how to sell your ideas, your products and services. Basically, it's a public speaking class, but for entrepreneurs and executives. And pretty much after every session, and this is an 8-week program, after every session on Mondays, I always ask the same question: what's the biggest thing that you've picked from this training today, and how are you going to implement? So how many of you feel that this one has been helpful to you? So before we do that, let me give you a summary of our training. So day number 1, which was session number 1 that happened on Tuesday, we talked about leadership foundation, which is mostly for aspiring and new managers and new leaders. Session number 2 that we did yesterday on Wednesday, it was all about high performance skills. Those 3 skills, emotional intelligence, strategic thinking, and decision making. And then today we talked about leading with vision, and we just went through a whole bunch of things that you can do to make your vision a reality. So again, the big question is, do you feel like the last 3 days have been helpful to you? Do you feel like it's been a time well spent, or do you feel like it was a waste of time? So just put that in the chat, and any feedback that you have for us so that we can improve on this training. This training, by the way, is also going to be housed in our academy for our members that are going to join that academy. And I'll show you here in a second how you can do that. So here's the question: are you ready to become a high performance leader and build a high performance team? I might have mentioned again, I think I did that yesterday, that last year, 2023, we sat down with our team and we asked ourselves, what are we all about? What makes us tick? What drives us? And we narrowed down that we want to be driven by inspiration. We want to be driven by empowerment, and then watch transformation happen. So those are the 3 pillars. And then we asked ourselves, how can we expand that to other people? How can we, to an extent, have ambassadors out there that can help us to expand this mission? And we figured the easiest way and the fastest way and the most effective way is to help leaders like you become high performance leaders and teach them how to build high performance teams. That's one of the best ways for us to expand our mission. And as we do that, these leaders help their companies, those teams help their companies, those companies grow, and they help the industries they're in, and they help the world, and they make the world a better place. So the question is, are you ready to become a high performance leader? Okay, so I'm going to introduce to you what I call the Dynamo Leaders Academy. This is an all-in-one platform for training and developing high performance leaders. I'll tell you how I came up with this. For many years, in this case, personally, I've been doing training for more than 20 years now. I used to do this when I used to have my corporate job. I was lucky enough to be hired as a leader from the word go right after college. So I got a chance to do all these trainings. But for the company that I run, Dynamo Methods, I've been running this for 10 years now. We celebrated the 10th year in May of this year. And so for many years, we've been doing corporate training, working with large companies, medium-sized companies, in big cities, small cities. We've done it all. And then last year, I saw some kind of a trend where I live in Kansas City and a few other cities that we've gone to, we were meeting people that have small companies, and not too small. Some of them have hundreds of employees, but they don't have their own training department. They would love to do some training, but either they don't have the funds or they don't have the skills and the expertise to establish a training department. So for more than a year, we've been discussing how we can be that resource for them, where if they don't have a training department and they still need to train their leaders, how can we be a resource for them? And that's how the idea of the Dynamo Leaders Academy came about. And I'm glad to announce that we have it. It's ready, good to go. We've been experimenting with it. People are really giving us very good feedback. So that's what it is. It's a platform for anyone really, but mostly for the companies that don't have their own training department. Because for those who have their own training department, we have another segment of our business where we help them to develop curriculums and programs, but also train their trainers. We have a train the trainer program. We teach them how to create the curriculum, how to present, how to speak, how to influence people, the things we get to do every single day in our company. So again, this is just a glimpse of how it's going to look like when you log into the academy. There's a dashboard. It's going to be like this, and we are still moving a few things around. And I'll give you more details here in a second. So what's in it for you? Because I know we have questions. I mean, you're talking about the academy. How do I know it's really good? I know it is good because we've been testing it. And this is not based on theory. It's based on over 20 years of leadership training and experience My trainers, again, they have different experiences in different industries. So this is a culmination of all this experience and knowledge. But just a few things that you're going to experience. Number one, you are going to experience tailored leadership tracks. So we have 3 tracks, and I mentioned this in the beginning. We have new and aspiring leader track, and this is for people that are just getting into leadership. We have emerging leader track, that's for middle managers, frontline leaders, people that potentially have been doing it for a while, but they have never been trained, or they have been trained in the past, but they are not. They need to keep up to date with what's happening. Like I said, the world is moving so fast, so it just makes sense for you to be up to date. And I know potentially your company doesn't have either the resources all the time or the capacity and the ability to do research and be up to date with what's needed right now to perform at a high level. We have that because this is the business we are in. Um, and then the other track, the highest track is an executive leadership track, and this is for people that need to take the company to the next level, think strategically, influence people. Change management is huge on that particular level. Developing other leaders, mentoring other people. We have presentation skills for that level. How to speak in front of a lot of people. How to communicate the vision, especially during your either quarterly meetings or town halls or annual meetings. Yeah, we get to help to work with executives to get them get to that high level. The next thing is high performance training programs. Again, our programs are structured, they are tailored. We have curriculum. So if it's a communication program, it's going to have probably 10 to 12, not probably, some of them have 10 modules, others have 12 modules. These are real programs with a workbook. So we take you through all that, and then you get a certificate. Then we take you to another program. And we have what we call tracks. Not tracks. We have blueprints, whereby we have a new leader blueprint where we build it up from understanding leadership. We have a program for that called developing the leader around you, the leader within you. We have another program on how to communicate. We have another program on how to develop others. Then another program on how to mentor others. So all those within one blueprint for the new leaders. Then we have that for the emerging leaders and also for the executive level. So we have very structured and curriculum-based training programs that I think you are going to love. For several reasons, just makes it easy for us to measure our progress and for you to also determine whether it's a good investment for you to see whether you're making any progress. And if your company is going to pay for you, which I believe potentially will, unless you want to invest that for yourself, then if there's someone who wants to know, is Dynamo Leaders Academy really a good program for us as a company, then you'll be able to give your company that feedback. Or if they want that from us, we can always send them what you've covered. But I believe beyond that, they'll be able to see an improvement in your results and your team's results. And that's how, that's enough evidence right there. That's the best evidence you can get, and a good good feedback for us and good compliment for us to know that you are performing at a high level. The next thing is live coaching and quick Q&A sessions. We'll be doing live training for this academy. Every single week there's going to be a live training being done, not recorded, live training every single week. Every Thursday, 2 to 3:30 Central Time, we'll be doing a live training. I'm one of the trainers. I have several other trainers as well. Again, it's going to depend on the program that we are working on. If it's a communication program, it's going to be me and a few other trainers that are expert in communication. If it's employee engagement, there's going to be someone else who is an expert at that. So again, everything is all structured. And the cool thing is that if you get a chance to attend the live training, well and good. If not, the trainings are recorded and we get to have them in the dashboard, so you can go back and watch them. You can forward, you can slow down. There's a workbook for each particular training, so there's no loss for you really. If for some reason, again, if you're going to consider this for your team, if you sign up for a manager and they happen to either leave or you move them to a different position, you can always swap the memberships to get a different manager at any given time. You just need to let us know. And then the last one is practical tools and for high performance. We create a lot of tools We have tools on how to do interviews, the tools on how to do performance reviews, the tools on how to resolve conflicts. Again, and that's outside of the workbooks that we have. So if you happen to need some tools, just let us know. If we don't have a tool, we can always create. We have experts in our team that know how to create programs and tools as well. So we've invested time and money to make sure that we have those ready for you. So again, if you are someone who wants to become a high performance leader, and again, build a high performance team, then let us help to get your managers trained in your company. Let us help you to build high performance leaders. Let us help you to improve overall team performance, which I believe that's important. And then also take your company to the next level. So especially if you're the CEO, the HR director, or the business owner. So what you're going to get, again, in addition to the things that I shared, structured curriculums, I mentioned that, weekly training, that's going to be virtual. And again, for convenience, we live in Kansas City, and we are open to work with anyone. It doesn't matter where you are at, mostly in the US. Now, if you are in a place like Kenya, where I'm from, the time zone is different. So most likely when you're doing it at 2 p.m., it's going to be very late for them on the other side. But again, they can watch the recordings. We have full color workbooks. So you'll be able to download those workbooks. You can convert them to a Word document. Actually, you're going to have a version for Word document. So, Word document workbooks that you can type into. If you want to print them, we have PDFs that you can print as well. Then we have a program called Accountability Partner Program. And in this case, especially if you are new and you're trying to find your way around, we'll have a program where we can pair you with someone on the same level or a little bit higher than you. We can pair you with one of our coaches as well to give you a little bit of specialized attention, if you need that. So with that, you just need to apply for it, or at least let us know you want to be a part of that accountability partner program. So I know there's always a question, who has this program worked for and why should I consider this? It has worked for new and aspiring leaders. Again, like I said, we've done this for a long time and we still do it today. This is not something we did in the past. This is what we do every single day. It has worked for emerging leaders, executives, business owners, especially those who have small companies. You have probably 2 or 3 managers. They come to our trainings because these business owners are trying to be good leaders as well. And then also entrepreneurs, we get to work with a lot of entrepreneurs. So again, the program is good for pretty much all these people. And it all depends on where you're at. We said we have the new leader track, we have the emerging leaders, and we have the executive level track. So I'm going to share with you this testimonial, and we have tons of testimonials. If you want to go to our website or go to Google and even LinkedIn, you'll be able to see lots of testimonials. So I want to share this with you. This is from 8 weeks ago. We completed a training for a major nonprofit, and this is a lady called Jessica. And she said, I've had the opportunity to participate in a few courses facilitated by Isaac, and that's me, and he never disappoints. Now, this is not to pump myself up. It's just to show you that we are on the trenches doing this. And of course, she says all this cool stuff. Isaac does an amazing job staying engaged with the group, has great energy, and provides relevant and detailed stories regarding experiences on the topic discussed. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because I believe you've been around long enough. If not anything else, you've been alive. That's why you're a leader for a while. We don't just, people don't just respond to content or information. You can get that from Google or any other platforms. You can buy books and read them, but people show up to trainings because of perspective, because of the experience they're going to get, because of the ideas, and again, because of the life we put into the concepts, the life we breathe into the principles and the trainings that we are doing, and the stories that we are going to share. I mean, I have hundreds and hundreds of stories from my own experience as a manager for 12 years, from my own experience as a leader in my company, okay, the team that I lead, from my experience as a coach for over 15 years, from the stories that I hear from other coaches and other leaders out there. So you'll be able to get all that perspective. The second testimonial is from a business owner. Sam is a president of a company, a major company in Kansas City. And, Sam hired me to do training. Actually, I've done 2 trainings, major trainings for his team. And he said Isaac does a great job of keeping people involved and having a great time doing it. Again, that's what we are talking about. His energy brings everyone up. We have worked with him on several occasions, and I've always been very happy with the results. That's big coming from a business owner, and that's a big compliment. So thank you, Sam. And then he said the cost is an investment in our people, and Isaac realizes that and takes our training seriously. So I'll tell you a quick story actually that came from Sam's team. The first time they hired me to train, I believe it was 2022 or 21, one of those. It was 2021, and we went through a training. It was a communication class, and you know, again, people have different personalities. There was someone in the team who was not that much engaged, a little skeptical, a little jaded, and I shared some ideas on how to engage with the people out there because they interact with the customers. And this guy went out there and he did it. He applied whatever concepts we shared, and he came back and he said, Isaac, I was very skeptical when you shared this particular concept, and I decided to apply it just to prove you wrong, that this stuff doesn't work. You know, people think what we call the feeling stuff, when we talk about caring for people and listening to them and getting to hear what they're not saying and getting to feel what they're not showing you, and connecting the concepts and the principles with the human relation side. Emotional intelligence, we talked about that as a skill. People think those are just fluffy stuff, which don't work. But trust me, they do. I shared with you what my friend Kyle shared with me, is that, you know, we control the things we own, which is probably about 20% in our life, and we influence everything else, and which has to do with people. So again, a business owner and a president like Sam recognizes that and he sees that. So I'm hoping that you give us a chance to work with you and work with your team so we can walk them through this process again of becoming high performance leaders. So what's the investment? That's a big question. The pricing is $1,499 a year. That's for a whole year for one manager. So it's membership for one person, to be renewed every single year. So it is very reasonable. Now I'm just going to tell you this: it's $14.99 and $149 a month. That's our launch pricing, and this is not a gimmick. It's not a game. It's a real thing. We are launching this academy again this week. And this pricing is good until the 4th, which I believe is next week on Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday, because we are going to start our classes on Thursday, the 5th at 2 p.m. So after that, the price is going to go up to $19.99. We are running a business. We got to make it profitable. And then after that, it's going to be $179 a month. So if you want to get in, this is the price that you're going to get in. I believe it's very reasonable. In line with transparency and being honest with you, if some of you have worked with us, including Sam that has hired us, we charge way more than this for training. So if you want to bring us in, it's going to, even to do a half a day training, it's going to range anywhere from 5 to about 10,000, sometimes 15,000 to do an all day training. So I believe this is a good deal for you to get your managers trained every single week. Those are 52 trainings a year. They're going to get the coaching, they're going to get the workbooks. And we are hoping that when you come in and you trust us enough, then we'll be able to make a difference and potentially you refer more business to us. And that's how we feel we can get our money back, basically a return on our investment, because you'll be able to get good results and connect other people with us as well. So you can scan this QR code and pay that much, $14.99 for a whole year. Or when you scan that QR code, it will give you the two options. You can check off a box for $14.99 a year or $149 a month. It's up to you. And wanted to mention this: we have a 30-day guarantee. You sign up today. If you don't like the training, our style, or if you feel we did not, we lied to you, we did not tell you the truth, which is, again, we are telling you the truth. But hey, you don't have any reason really to trust us, especially if you've never worked with us before. If you don't like the training, you can always cancel. There's not going to be any hassle. We're not going to take you back and forth or asking you to show us what you did and sending us a letter. No, if you reach out to us, send an email or reach out to me. All over social media. We have a real website. We have a real office. If you are in Kansas City, you just need to ask us. But again, you don't have to come to the office. Just reach out to us, and we are going to give you that money back, because I believe, and my team believes, that we provide way more value than the money. But also, we don't want to have people in our network, in this case our clients, that are just tolerating who we are. We want to work with people that are enjoying who are enjoying our conversations and also experiencing a good thing with us. So that's the guarantee that we give you. So now at this point, you have two choices, okay? As a business owner, as a leader, as someone who makes decisions on behalf of your team. Again, whether you have 2 managers or 20 or 200, it doesn't matter. Our academy doesn't have a limit, by the way. We've built it in a way that we can accommodate that. We have lots of trainers that can accommodate that. So you have two options. Number one, the option number one is to do nothing and not take this leap of faith, which is again 100% risk-free. If you do that, that's okay. If you don't take action, I'm not going to be mad at you. Like I said, we've done this training for 3 weeks. Hopefully you've received some value. Even if you don't buy, I'm okay with that. Okay. But at least you got something out of it. And the second option is to make this small investment of $14.99 a year or $149 a month if you sign up before the 5th. Compared to all the value that you're going to get. I believe the things we are going to provide and continue providing, including the database and replays that you can access anytime, I think it's way more valuable than the $14.99 a year. Okay. So the real question is it worth gambling a few minutes of your time to check this out? If not anything else, just check out, scan the QR code that I'm going to give you, check out the program. And if it's not for you, again, that's okay. So again, what you're going to get, this is a repeat of what I said, structured curriculums, weekly training, 4-color workbooks, and accountability partner program. So you can go ahead and scan that QR code. Now, I have a bonus for the people that are going to give us a chance to work with them. And this is for the first 50 people. Again, this is not a gimmick, okay? I'm not used to not telling the truth, because when you tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you said. When you don't tell the truth, basically when you lie, you have to remember the lie. That's way too much work. And it's not professional. It's not respectful to you. It's basically disrespectful and abuse of your intelligence. So we have a bonus, which is a private team strategy session. If you have a team and you are thinking about coming up with a vision, setting up your goals, you want to go to the next level, and you need some help, then we are going to give you a private team strategy session, 1 hour, 60 minutes. It's going to be with me or one of our trainers. If you want me specifically to do it, you just need to request that. Now, there's no guarantee I'm going to be available because our schedules feel very fast, but I'll do the best that I can. This is for the first 50 people that are going to sign up. Okay, no question about that. We're not going to extend it. So the first 50 people, not 50 teams. No, it's 50 people. If you have a team of 10, then that's going to count in the 50. So again, we'll give you that as a bonus if you sign up again before the 4th. The second bonus is a book. And some of you know probably, if you've been in this training the last 3 days, I shared this yesterday and the other day as well. I've written 2 books. Both of them are bestsellers. My second book is called Take the Leap: How to Master the Transition from Employee to Manager. And so for the first 20 people, they are going to get a copy of this book. If you're in Kansas City, you can either pick it up or we can drop it off or we can mail it to you. If you're outside of Kansas City, definitely we are going to mail that book to you. And by the way, I have an online course based on this book as well, that is going to be part of the academy as well. So again, all the resources that we are building, they are going to be part of the academy. So you have everything to gain and nothing to lose. So again, what is it that you're going to get? The curriculum, weekly training, 52 of them per year, 4-color workbooks, accountability partner program. This program is renewable every single year. If you don't want to renew, just let us know. Then we're not going to renew that. We're not going to charge you anything. Again, it's going to be done every single month. If you want to cancel, you can cancel anytime. I hope you're not going to do that, because we'll do the best that we can to give you as much value as possible. So here's the question. If all this did for you was to help you build better leaders, would it be worth it? If the academy, all it could do for you was to help you build a better team, better leaders and build a better team, would it be worth it to take a look and potentially invest that money? what if all it could do for you was to improve your team performance, which I believe is important for you, because I get to talk to a lot of leaders on a daily basis. And I'm not kidding. On a daily basis, almost every leader out there is thinking about, how can I make my team better? How can we improve performance? How can we bring in more revenue? How can we hit our targets? How can we give our people more bonuses, especially right now that the economy is really, really tough? Earlier today, I had a coaching call with one of my CEO clients, a great lady who has a wonderful company. And she shared with me a story about someone that she talked to last night at a business networking meeting. And she said this particular lady told her that she has had to pivot several times in 2024 because what was working last year is not working this year. Now, I don't know what industry she is in, but that tells me that things are changing. So you can imagine, if this person has a team, then they will be open to ideas and strategies that can help them to either find something that's going to be solid. When people pivot from one thing to another, one strategy to another, they are looking for something better. And I believe that's what you are doing as well. And I hope you don't have to pivot every single week. But in case you are thinking about growing your team, improving performance, then I believe the Dynamo Leaders Academy is going to help you. Okay. So again, that's our 30-day money back guarantee. If you don't like the training, feel free to cancel. Just let us know. Again, there's no questions, actually. We're not going to hassle you. Okay. So again, we will be done here in 2 minutes. So you can get started today for $14.99. That's the QR code right there. You can also go to that link. I don't think you can click it wherever you're watching from. We are going to put that link in the chat. Actually, let me go ahead and do that. You can give me a second. I'll put that link in the chat for those who want to check it out. So just give me a second. Okay, there we go. We have it in the chat. You'll be able to see it. So you can click on that link and check out the program. So we're going to get to the Q&A. Again, that's the QR code. I know we made it, but and it was working earlier today, but let me just scan it to make sure it's working so I don't mislead you. Yep, it's working. It's going to say Dynamo Leaders Academy at the top. You can sign up. If you have any questions, just let us know. So that's it about our Dynamo Leaders Academy launch and the training that we've done in the last 3 days. I hope it was helpful. So I'm going to get off the screen and check and see if we have any questions. Meanwhile, just put them in the chat if you have any questions, and then we'll move from there. Okay, I have a question. This is on our private chat. Is asking, what if we sign up and we lose a manager? Are we going to get our money back if it's halfway the year? In that case, you're not going to get the money back, but you'll have the freedom to swap the manager and have another manager take over that membership. If you don't have another manager, then it will freeze your membership and you can pick it up from wherever you left. So we're going to freeze it and then you pick it up from there. That's what we are doing. Now, by all means, if again you decide to get out of business, which I hope you're not, or you don't have any manager, you're not going to hire anyone, and you feel that you don't need it at all, then we are going to prorate the amount. If you've been using it, let's say for 6 months, then you can get half of that. But the first thing that we'll do is to swap the manager or freeze the membership. And if you're getting out of business again, you don't need it anymore, then we can discuss and consider giving you the prorated amount back. Thank you for that question. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Thank you again for joining me for this training. I appreciate you for sparing the time to be here. My name is Isaac. I live in Kansas City. We run this Dynamo Leaders Academy as a part of our Dynamo Methods, the big company. And yeah, we like making a difference. Again, inspiring people, empowering them, and watching transformation happen. Feel free to reach out to us on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. We are there, or you can go to support@dynamomethods.com and send us an email. Someone is going to reach out to you. So thank you again for being a part of this training. But beyond that, thank you for the difference you make in the world, for leading your people to greatness. I wish you all the best. I know for sure you're going to do very well. God bless.